Amy, welcome to Spark TV. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I'm excited to be here.
So good. Let's kick things off by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
So I am Amy and I actually run a salon and I have my own spray tanning and home tanning brand called Island Vibes, which is my little baby at the moment. So yeah, that's been going in production for 2.5 years now. And I've had my own, I've had a salon for 9 years. 9 years this August. So
Wow.
busy while I'm a mum of 2 little toddlers.
Oh my God. I'm tired just hearing that.
Don't worry, I'm tired, that's for sure.
And when you say salon, do you mean beauty or hair or?
Both. So it's,
Ooh.
10 staff, beauty and hair. It does spray tanning. Obviously, spray tanning is my thing. Makeup's my thing too. I'm not a beauty therapist by trade, but decided to open a salon 9 years ago that basically was a one-stop shop that did everything. So it's just everything wrapped into one little, or not a little space. It's 400 square meters. So it's huge. And then obviously my passion is spray tanning and tanning and just nailing a natural tan. So that's how that all sort of bundled up together. The two are kind of hand in hand.
I love it. So then were you into spray tanning when you opened and were like, then I'll bring on the people to kind of cover the rest?
Yeah. So spray tanning I've been doing for 18 years. So I had a freelance business for 9 years before I decided I had a home studio, I had mobile. I've been contracted to Channel 9 for 10 years now. So I do all of their kind of on-screen talent. I'm doing Love Island next week with all the contestants in my
fun.
which is exciting. So so it's kind of, that's how it all happened. I was like, you know what, I want to just have a place where it was kind of my dream place where everyone can get everything done in one spot and you don't have to drive from place to place.
I love it. It sounds like heaven. I'd like to come now. I'm in desperate need of a tan. I've been looking at myself on video all day going, what is going on here?
I think every girl feels like that.
Oh my gosh. Literally weekly we feel like
I know. We just feel so tired. We're our own worst critic. I feel like every single client that comes in is like, oh my God, I feel terrible. And we're like, you don't look terrible.
So how did you go from freelance spray tanning to now being responsible for a giant space and heaps of staff? Like, what was that leap like?
It was hard.
Yeah.
I'm not going to joke. It was actually hard. I think I like doing things big and I have big ambitions. I've always been one of those people that don't do things in halves and not on purpose. It just happens like that. I just sort of get an idea in my head and that's what I want to do and I run with it and it's really hard to stop. And it has had its fair share of challenges, like all business, I guess. But, you only know what you know. And I didn't really think about that. I only knew one sort of part of that. I had never actually worked in a salon before. So that was challenging to go from never working in a salon, only had a home studio and done mobile, to then like looking after staff and doing rosters and looking after beauty therapists and hairdressers when I'm not a beauty therapist or a hairdresser. So I leaned heavily on key staff members. So it's been relying on other people.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I was literally having a conversation with someone earlier today that's actually really tough, finding amazing people. How did you, have you got any, like, did it always work out? Were they always magical people or have you perfected a way?
Definitely not always been magical people. It's been challenge. That is probably the biggest challenge is staff. I think staff is always going to be everybody's challenge because everybody operates differently and works differently and thinks differently. And it's about learning how to get into other people's head and what's, pushing their buttons or making them work. It's really interesting how people function and some people are driven for different reasons and some people want flexibility and some people want, 1 million hours a week. And it's just kind of really, and then, you've got the issue of hoping that everybody then gets along. Yes. So it's a lot of people managing. So it's it's probably part of the reason why I love the tanning business now, like Island Vibes, because that is way easier to just be. It's easier because it is still just me and contractors. So it's
Yeah.
basically I use people as I need them, and then I try and do everything I can myself where I can, and I've got a lot more control. And I think that's what I love about it. It's like got that bit of control where I don't need to rely on other people. And if it's a contractor that's not working, I just happily move them on and just get someone else. And I think that's just an easier system at the moment with young children, to just find those reliable people and, get them to work for you as much as you need them.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I remember, oh God, so 5 years ago, that was kind of the height of my agency business. And so this is pre-COVID, 20 staff, everyone in the same room, hectic, hectic, hectic. Basically, my job was just like therapist.
Yes.
But I thought that's what you had to do, and I know every business is different.
Mm.
But it was really like almost that was the measure of success, like how
Yes.
many people you had.
Yes.
I love that you've just said, about the product-based business where you can have this freelancer contractor model, because that is what I'm all about now. Like, how do I
Yes.
test people on projects
Yes.
and
Yes.
then scale them up and down as the business is scaling up and down?
And I think it's taken me a long time to get to that, to realize that, I don't have to have a million staff to be like, where, this is working.
Yeah.
You can still have an amazing, incredible business model without having a million. I can still have an amazing business model still at home for as long as possible. Like, I'm still working out of my garage, and I want to stay in my garage as long as I can. Like, I want to stay there till the death of it. Like, I have a 400 square meter salon, and all that comes with that, with rental agreements and, lease, bonds and all the over the top commercial energy and whatever comes with it. I'm like, it's so much easier to just be like in my garage, pick and pack at night. My kid can put my kids to bed,
Yeah.
pack orders at my own leisure, not have to leave my house and go there. So I'm hanging on to and I know some big brands that have done this, and they've done it for a long time and worked from home, and they just and I listen to a lot of podcasts, and that's one bit of advice that I've just sort of taken and gone, like, don't leave until you have to.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting because, and I think it's easy to say the grass is greener. I always talk about this, like having an agency and a membership style business and core style business. I go, oh, I wish I had a product business where,
Yeah.
I could just, I'm like, all of them have their own pros and
Yes.
cons.
Yeah, that's right. The issues arise with all of them.
Totally. And it's interesting because, if you moved out of the garage and into like a 3PL or something like that,
Yeah.
then you'd be dealing with margin
Yeah.
issues,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's smart, like do
Yeah.
as much as you can for as long
Till
as
I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or till
exactly
you're
right.
over it. Or till
Yeah,
you're like,
that's right.
I want to do something over here now, so I'll let
Yes.
somebody else take over that
Yes.
part. It's
Yes,
nice to have the
exactly.
choice.
Yes, exactly. That's the plan.
Oh, I love it so much. So how did you go about developing a product? I mean, obviously you've been a spray tanner for so long, so you get the industry,
Yeah.
but I'm sure actually developing a product is a mission
It
in and
was
of itself.
so it was hard. And so over the 18 years of doing the actual tanning, I was approached by multiple companies to do just private labels, which is literally, for those that don't know, a private label is where you just buy a ready-made product that I guess a company just has these clean skins, and then you just put your brand on it. And I always said, I don't want to just have a brand that's already a brand out there. I want to make sure that it's my brand and I've got my, my input. So I knew exactly all the things I wanted in product, and I knew all the things I didn't want. So it was about finding a chemist, like a cosmetic formulator that could work with me. And the first one that I found was through a project manager. So it was like a project management style. And that didn't work. All my timelines, everything was just so slow because I couldn't talk direct to the chemist, and everything wasn't getting sort of through to me. And the conversations that we were having were not understood through the project manager, didn't understand all the terminology. And in the end, I left them and cut my losses and lost all the money that I'd put into that. But I had to make that decision because I was like, you know what, I was 8 or 9 months in and I was like, it's just not working. Then
Yeah.
I found another like couple of formulators that I basically met with, and then had to just work out, I had to just sort of work out who I wanted to start trialing, and then do some trials of sampling products that they had done previously. And then from there giving my input, key ingredients that were needed, and then basically going from there. So it was long.
Yeah. And
Like,
expensive.
yeah, long, expensive. And then it's just not as simple as saying like, I want to make a product and then here it is. Like spray tanning and tanning, you've got to put the product on your body. So you've got to formulate it, then put the product on your body, then wear it for a week and see how it comes off, and then make all the notes of the things that worked, the things that didn't work, and then go back to the drawing board, make the changes, and then wait for it to be made again and the sample made, sent to you. And so it was just such a long process. Like it was just, yeah, it just went forever. And I'm still formulating products now, and people are like, oh my God, when are you bringing out a tan extender? And when are you bringing out this? And I'm like, there are so many things in the works, but everything takes so long. I'm such a perfectionist. If something's not perfect, it's like tweak and back to the start again, and then tweak, or the color's not right, or, I wanted a particular ingredient and it's not a high enough percentage. So, and then it's not just trialing it on me, then it's trialing it on other skin types and seeing it on other skin tones and what's working. So it's just a slow, long, and I'm an impatient person, but I just can't speed it up. It is what it is, and I just have to roll with it.
Yeah, but I think it's amazing because, for two reasons. One, you want to believe in what you're selling.
Right.
But the other thing is repeat customers, right? Like if it's not a great product, if it's not a great experience, people just
Right.
won't come back.
Exactly. And I've had such a great response that I think that, I really tried to simplify it, that tanning can be so complicated. And as a tanner in salon, when you've got, hundreds of different variations and base colors and percentages, and then leave it on for this long, leave it on for this long, I really wanted to just simplify it. So at present, it's just 2 colors. It's literally like light, like it's a light super express, which is 20 minutes you can leave it up to 4 hours if you want. And then it's an ultra dark, which is like a dark to ultra dark, which is 1 to 4 hours. So it's just simple. Like, let's not overcomplicate it. Let's not have a green base, a violet base, a blue base, a red base. Like, we can throw all these bases in, but at present, we will bring more colors out, but at present, this is sort of hitting the mark on majority of people. So there's no need to have all these little ins, majority, 95% of people, these 2 colors are working.
Yeah, wow. It's really interesting because you're right. It's such an important decision to make about a product as well. You could do 1,000 different variations of things, but then you're right. If you cater for 95% of people, then, the other 900 products just cater for the 5%.
Right,
That's a
exactly.
huge investment. It's
It
not really
is.
worth it.
That's exactly right. So I'm just sort of, as the feelers are out, I'm working out what people are sort of interested in, what's missing, what is getting asked for most. And then from there, I'll just slowly drop products as they need it based on what sort of the demand is, rather than just hitting everybody with 1,000 products and like you said, getting stuck with a product inventory issue and have a million things in my garage that I do not need.
Exactly. And so how have you gone about first, like early sales of the product? What was your strategy to get the word out there?
So through the salon, we did a trial to market last year. So we did a whole 12-month trial to market before we did the actual launch. So the launch was early this year, but we got it on, I think we got it on more than 600 bodies last year, paid, not free. So that was paid clients came in, purchased, used it. And then from there, we got a PR company, which I spent an absolute bomb on. And then a marketing company, which I spent a bomb on. And then we paid for meta advertising. We got a pre-launch database, and then we did a launch in a Bondi salon. We did a takeover. We brought in influencers. We did an influencer mailer to 50 influencers. So I did a lot of costly things at the start.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
It was very expensive. but
Yeah.
it did get it kind of far and wide. And
Yes.
then I just pulled back and like got rid of PR, got rid of marketing. I've taken on the Facebook ads myself. So I've just learned the Facebook advertising, still learning. I feel like every day I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what's going on. But I've just taken it on myself and learned the back end, how to do the ads, how to do the mid funnel, how to do the top funnel, like, and just basically doing the creatives. I have a videographer that I meet with once or twice a month, and we do video edits. And then he does like green screens with me. He does all the edits. I don't need to think about it.
Nice.
And so that's kind of just gained traction, and that's where the sales have come from. We've also got over like, I think there's about 30 salons that have the actual product in salon selling, and also professional product on
Oh, wow.
bodies. Yeah. So, and then I'm just literally still just sourcing salons constantly every week, sending samples out, seeing, who's interested, and then going from there.
I love it. I mean, it's a cool approach doing that huge big bang, getting that real excitement, getting that FOMO database building, followers building, and then kind of going, okay, now I'll take it from here. I think it's actually a really good approach. And I feel like people do it actually the opposite way
They
normally.
do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. And I just really wanted to go out with a bang rather than a really slow growth. So
Trickle.
I was like, let's just hit it hard. And then, we know that there's this amount of money is going to be spent, and then we're going to have to stop and then basically pull back. But I knew, I mean, in terms of PR and stuff, I have a lot of contacts. And so I've actually reached out to a lot of people I know personally, and got a little bit of traction here and there in some newspapers and some, professional beauty magazine. And there's been some articles just through, one of my mum's mums works at Ara Media, and she didn't get me, it wasn't an article, but she just got a full page. It looked like a paid ad, and it was free. Like, she just got it in Who magazine. So it's just been a little bit of like, who do I know? Who can I? And just, I think like, you've got to just take the fear out of that. You've got to not care. Not care, but you've got to just not be afraid of rejection. Ask, and if someone says no, then it doesn't matter. Like, it's not
It
the end of the
totally
world.
doesn't matter. Ask
It really
ask the
doesn't
next
matter.
person.
Ask again and ask again. So LinkedIn's my best friend, and I'm messaging people constantly, and people ignore me all the time. And I'm like, oh, water off a duck's back. Like, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if you don't want to do anything, that's fine. I'll just keep asking. Same as salons. It's the more nervous you get and the more you hold back, it's like you're only holding yourself back and your brand back. It's like, get out there, get in people's inboxes, just literally be everywhere and ask everyone. And if you throw things far and wide enough, you'll get traction somewhere.
It's so true. And it's always surprising as well. You might email someone today, they ignore you, but then they start seeing your brand everywhere. And then it's like 6 months later, they finally reply. And you're like, so
That's
it's kind
right.
of like the investment is worth it.
It is, and you don't know what you're asking early on that then comes back later. And I mean, we sent mailers out to people that I just still, now there's people I'm waiting on that I haven't heard back anything from. And I'm just like, oh, either they hate it,
Yeah.
or they're just going to randomly pop up in summer and be like, oh my God, I love your product. And so and I've already had people popping up, like girls that used it that were influencers that I thought, oh, like, I'm never going to hear from them. And the next minute they're messaging me saying, oh, this is my favorite brand now. Like, I love it. So it's just one of those things that not everything is instant. It's some things take months or, sometimes years to come back, or people are sitting back and watching. They're watching to see what's going on. Like, I've had some really big retailers I touched base early on with, who said, some replied and said, look, we'll just watch. We'll talk to you later in the year and we'll see how you're going. But the funny thing is that my direction has changed, because then the retailers I thought I wanted at the start, I'm now like, oh no, I don't want them anymore. So I'm pivoting and changing direction. So I'm all now like, as I learn and you grow, I want to work smarter, not harder. So I'm like, I want to work with retailers, not the ones that are going to stinge every piece of margin out of me. If I can get a retailer that's going to be a bit more better for my profile, and and look good for the brand and not stinge every dollar, I'm going to move in those directions.
Absolutely. And I love how this isn't just one strategy. I find it really interesting. Some people are like, oh yeah, I tried that, it didn't work, tried that, didn't work. And I'm like, no, you've got to actually do everything, be
Yes.
everywhere all at once. Like you've mentioned wholesale, you've
Yeah.
mentioned PR, you've mentioned influencers, ads, gifting. Like you are, and you haven't gone, oh, I did that and then stopped. Like it's like this is all on all the time.
It is literally all on, and it's just like every little thing is, there's so many moving parts. And I think that's what's the time consuming thing in business, is that there's so many moving parts and you just need them constantly moving. And as soon, you can't stop. It all has to be going at the same time.
Yeah.
And also like networking and doing things like I've contracted to Channel 9 for 10 years as their spray tan. And now I have my own brand. When they've come to me and said, can you do this, the tanning? Like last year they came to me and said, can you do Love Island? I said, yes, I can, as long as I can use my product, which isn't launched yet. They made me test it to market first to see what it looked like, then agreed. They've then rebooked me this year, which is next week. But it's just about all the little like placements. Now I've got home products, so I'm making sure that I'm taking the home product to gift the Love Island contestants, which I didn't have that last year. But this year I'm like, whoa, no one knows who you are yet, but eventually they will. Yeah. And
Yes.
that could be a product placement that's in the villa, because they could take it into the villa to top up. So it's just about all these little bits. And it's like, no missed opportunities. I've missed a million opportunities like over the years, even like this year. So now I'm very conscious of like every little thing that could be an opportunity that could lead to something else, or, going to an event that might be, a networking event, but you might meet one person that actually then connects you to something that becomes something. Like you just don't know where the next little lead is. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and I also love that idea of like, just who cares if it's just one person, like I feel like everyone wants to go viral,
Yep.
everyone wants to like, the business takes off and we're all billionaires tomorrow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sometimes it is that just the next one, just the
Yep.
next one,
Yep.
just the next
Keep
one.
putting your foot in front of one foot in front of the other is what gets you there. It's like that's
Yeah.
all you can do, is just keep progressing, and eventually hope that it gets you to the places that you're trying to get to.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that so much. What do you think has been the biggest challenge of a product-based business versus the retail salon environment?
I mean, for me, it's initial orders, like having those initial orders. Obviously, we have minimum order quantities, but knowing when to, place your second drop. Like I have a product that's coming out. It's a merch product, so it's not actually a tanning, because we also do some merchandise to do with holidays, because it's island vibes. Everything's holiday. We've got towels and bits and bobs, but we've got some really cool bottle, like they're drink bottles that you take on your holiday with you. And we have a few colorways, and it's about knowing, like I just don't know what color is going to sell, and it's kind of like trying to work that out. And I ask around like family, friends, staff members, like what color, and everyone's kind of different. So it's about trying to work out that, happy medium where you order enough stock that, you want to get the sales, but you don't want to like sell out and go, oh my God, I could have ordered like hundreds more. Or you go the other way and you order hundreds and you get stuck with stock. So, and that's probably the hardest bit, is knowing your quantities and storing everything. So it's like storage for all your bottles and your bits and bobs. Like, I mean, all my bottles and everything that the tan goes into, I buy all the components separately. I buy the bottle, I buy the lid, I buy the pump, I buy the label. So everything is from someone, they're all from different people, and then they all come to me, and then they're all in boxes labeled. So it's just, logistics is like a huge part of a brand. It's not as simple. Well, some brands, obviously come in one piece, but others it can be a bit of a logistical nightmare.
Do you like label it yourself, or do you get all the components and your chemist does that?
So that was the idea, was that my chemist would do it, but my chemist label maker it couldn't work on my labels. So I then the first drop had to be hand labeled by my chemist team, did it, thank God, not me. And then the second drop was done by the actual company that I buy the bottles from. We just then sent the bottles back to them and the labels back to them, and then they labeled them. So it's just like a 3PL, like you pay your 3 cents or your 4 cents per label to get relabeled. So it's just all these little moving parts, and then, you know, freight back and forth, and then freight getting it back to the chemist. So it's just everything moving around to get it. You know, you've got to know, you've got to be organized.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. I had an e-commerce brand during COVID, hand sanitizer,
Yes.
obviously, and I hand labeled like
Oh, wow.
thousands of like
Yeah, it's
those
wild.
pouches. It was
Yeah,
hell. It
it
was
is
just,
crazy. Yeah, it's so crazy. And I'm so like anal. So I'm just like, oh my God, if it's not the right, if it's not perfectly straight, like it's just, it
yeah.
becomes, freaks me out.
Oh my God. I love it so much. Okay, you are amazing. Let's wrap this podcast on one last piece of advice. So, reflecting on your, gosh, many years in business,
Yeah.
multiple businesses, what would be one last piece of advice that you would give to another woman on her business journey?
Is just to surround yourself with other people in business. So it's kind of like, and just, you know, don't just take, give. I try and give to other business owners. I don't want to always be like, oh my God, can you tell me this and can you tell me that? I try and give information to others so that I can, you know, it's a two-way street and get things in return. But often if you find people, they may have been in a situation before you that you've come to a roadblock and they've got an answer for you. So it's surround yourself with other business people, because you just never know who is sitting next to you or on a call or on a Zoom call, or you know, in one of these, you know, group sessions that might have already hit this roadblock that you've got, and they have a really simple answer for you. And then I really believe in like give and take. So it's like give as much information to others. Don't, you know, safeguard anything. Give all your information to others to help them out.
I love it, and I could not agree more. Amy, you are incredible. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having me.
Oh, anytime, anytime. It's been so good to hear your story and journey and nuggets of wisdom. I know everyone would have gotten a lot of value out of that. So thank you.
Amazing. Thanks, Dan.